You ever feel like our cities are just constantly changing? New buildings pop up, new rules get made, and it can be a little overwhelming to keep track of it all. Well, today, we're going to dive into a story about how one simple question from a neighborhood led to an AI solution so powerful it's now helping manage the Olympic Games. So let's just start with this question right here. I mean, think about it. We've all asked this. You see a construction fence go up down the street, or you hear a rumor about a zoning change, and you immediately wonder, okay, what does this actually mean for me, from my block? It's this universal feeling, right? But getting a straight answer, yeah, that's surprisingly hard.
And that exact question is where our story starts. We're heading to a specific neighborhood in San Francisco where all these local changes were creating a whole lot of noise and not a lot of clarity.
Now, here's the crazy part. All the information is technically public. Cities like San Francisco put out this fire hose of data, building permits, planning meeting minutes, development records, you name it. But it's just total information overload. For you or me, it's so dense and raw that it might as well be written in another language.
So that's where something called City Pulse comes in. Think of it as a translator for all that city jargon. Okay, so how does it work? It's actually a pretty simple three-step dance. First, it just gobbles up all that chaotic live data from the official city websites. Then, the AI gets to work. It crunches thousands of documents, even video from public meetings, to figure out what the trends are and how people feel about them. And finally, it spits out a briefing in plain, simple English that anyone can actually understand. The bottom line is, it's not just about data, it's about meaning.
And you might be wondering, who is this actually for? Well, it turns out it's useful for pretty much everybody. For city leaders, they can walk into a meeting totally prepared. For development pros, they can keep an eye on new projects. And maybe most importantly, for residents, for us, we can finally get clear answers about what's going on in our own backyards. Okay, so this is a huge deal on a local level, right? It totally changes the game. But, and this is the really cool part, the story doesn't end there. The real story is the technology powering it all, because it can scale from one little neighborhood to something absolutely massive. So let's pop the hood and see what's really driving this thing. All right, the big idea here is something called a digital twin. Think of it like a super detailed, data-packed 3D version of an entire city that lives inside a computer. Now, we're not just talking about a fancy Google map here. This thing is alive, it's dynamic. It models the buildings, the roads, all the systems that make a city run. So this is basically the blueprint for how it all fits together. You've got two main layers. First, there's the regional digital twin. That's the body, the visual 3D model. Then you've got the AI-driven civic intelligence layer. That's the brain that understands all the data. One part is the what, the other part is the so what. And when you put them together, man, that's where the magic happens. So let's boil this all down. You've got a virtual city. And for the first time, you have an AI that you can literally have a conversation with about that city. You just ask it stuff in plain English. And it doesn't just give you a text response, it shows you the answer right there on the 3D model. All right, so we've seen this go from one neighborhood to a whole city. But what if we took it even further? Like, way further. What happens when you point this technology at one of the most complex logistical puzzles on the entire planet, hosting the Olympic Games?
Well, this is what happens. Meet the CC3 Urban Olympics platform. It's a regional digital twin built for the entire Los Angeles area, specifically for the 2028 Games. This is that City Pulse idea we saw earlier, but blown up to an absolutely massive metropolitan scale.
Just to give you a sense of how big a leap this is, think about the tools people usually use for event planning. They're basically 2D maps for figuring out crowd flow in a festival. This is completely different. It's a 3D model of an entire region with all the cities, all the highways, all the transit systems baked right in. It's the difference between planning a single stage and planning the entire city around that stage. So why does that regional scale matter so much? Well, check out this number, 88. That's how many different cities are in Los Angeles County alone. Now, imagine trying to get 88 different city governments to coordinate on, well, anything. It's a monumental task. This platform gives every single one of them the exact same playbook to work from. So what can you actually do with this? Well, you can ask it some seriously complicated stuff, just like you'd ask a person. A city planner could literally just say this: show parcels suitable for mid-density housing within a half a mile of major transit. And boom, the system just instantly lights up every single spot that fits the bill across the entire region. I mean, that's just a complete game changer.
Okay, and this is where it gets really, really interesting. The Olympics are amazing, but they're temporary. So what happens when the games are over and everyone goes home? What's the real legacy here? The answer is the digital twin stays. It doesn't get packed up with the medals. It becomes a permanent piece of infrastructure for the whole region. That is the real prize. It's like a new operating system for Los Angeles. You can use it for long-term planning, for housing, figuring out tough traffic problems, even managing things like climate risks from heat waves or floods. The Olympics were just the catalyst to build it. The payoff lasts for decades. So think about where we started, with a simple, frustrating question about one person's neighborhood. And we ended up with a technology that gives an entire mega region a voice, which leaves us with one final question for you. If your city could suddenly talk back, if you could ask it anything about its past, its present, or its future and get a real answer, what would you want to know?